Here in Warrington stands Bewsey Old Hall, a hall that's been derelict for 25 years and the scene of many planning battles. Now converted into luxurious apartments, it hides the fact that this hall has stood here, or a building of its type, since at least the 13th century. Prior to the 13th century, the site was actually a monastic grange before it was demolished to make way for the new hall. The hall was built by one William Fitz-Almerickley Boteler in the 13th century. Welcome to Rambles Through History. Bewsey Old Hall was home to the Lords of Warrington from the 13th to the 17th centuries, and indeed in the year of 1617 the hall was visited by the first Stuart king, James I. Whilst Bewsey Old Hall is no longer accessible to the public due to becoming a private residence, today I've come here to take a look and see the birthplace of one Sir John Boteler, 13th Baron of Warrington. It was here at Bewsey Old Hall in the year of 1429 when a baby was born to John, aged 27, and Isabel, aged 23. This baby, also named John, would one day become the 13th Baron of Warrington. The child was to grow strong, and as part of the Boteler family, he represented a family that had been in Warrington and the surrounding areas for many hundreds of years. By the age of 20, John was to become a Knight of the Shire, a noble position to hold, and one that he would hold for many years to come. On the 18th of August 1444, John was to wed one Lady Margaret Gerrard, daughter of Sir Peter Gerrard of Bryn. Between them they bore at least 5 children: John, Margaret, Elizabeth, William and Isabel. However, in the year of 1452, Lady Margaret was to die at a very young age. Now, as mentioned earlier, John was a Knight of the Shrine, and in this particular case he represented Lancashire. Now, the title of Knight of the Shire is what we would know today as a Member of Parliament for a county constituency. However, Knight of the Shire dates right back to early medieval times. Sometime before July 1448, Sir John was knighted, and it's believed his knighthood was witnessed at the time by his brother-in-law, Sir Thomas Gerrard of Kingsley. Now, it's a very interesting story indeed about how Sir John was to go on to become the 13th Baron of Warrington. I mentioned earlier that John married Lady Margaret Gerrard of Kingsley. What I didn't mention was how the marriage came about, and to the likes of us today it seems quite shocking. Now, Lady Margaret's father was one Sir Peter Gerrard, and in the year of 1442 he purchased the wardship of John Boteler. Sir Peter then simply arranged for John and Margaret to marry in the year of 1444. John was just 15 years old and Margaret just 14. This meant that they bore as many as 6 children between them at a very young age. Indeed, when Margaret passed away in 1452, she would have been no older than just 22 years old. John was to remarry again on the death of Lady Margaret, and he married Isabella Dacre, but this ended in divorce. John, one more time, decided to get married, and he married his third wife, Margaret Stanley. But Margaret was to survive John, and John sadly died here at Bewsey Old Hall on the 26th of February 1463. Upon the death of Sir John Boteler, his body was brought here to St Elphin's church in Warrington for burial. His body was encased in a tomb, marked with a beautiful gypsum effigy. Well, it's here where my journey to find Sir John comes to its conclusion as we take a look inside at his tomb, a tomb carved with the effigies of Sir John himself and Lady Margaret Gerrard. As we enter St Elphin's, I can't help but be in awe of its size and splendour. The church is believed to have occupied this site since at least the year of 650 AD. Well, what a great honour and a privilege to finally be stood here at the tomb of the 13th Baron of Warrington, for here is the final resting place of Sir John Boteler and his wife Lady Margaret Gerrard from Kingsley. However, today all is not quite what it seems with this tomb, for it once stood in a totally different place within the church. For it was in the year of 1947 when these two beautifully carved alabaster tomb effigies were separated using nothing more than a workman's saw. And the reason for the separation? Simply to be able to move the tomb into the current location that it stands today. But why was this beautiful and ancient tomb moved? Well, it was moved so they could create the regimental chapel that you see here behind me. But this wasn't the first time that the tomb had been moved, and 100 years earlier, during the restoration of 1859, the tomb was taken to pieces. And Mr. John Booth, who was present at the time in 1859, noted that a skull and bones were found, but tragically these were disposed of by a workman. However, a scabbard from a sword was found, and this was sent to the British Museum immediately. Whilst it seems so sad that this tomb had to be dismantled and moved at least twice, at least now it's back together in its rightful place here in St Elphin's Church in Warrington. I sometimes find it difficult to believe just how young Sir John and Lady Margaret were at the time of the deaths. Today, with our busy lifestyles and longer lifespans, we can easily live into our 70s, 80s and beyond. Is it any wonder that people would marry young and bear children at a very early age during the medieval times? After all, with the average lifespan of no more than 35 years, adult life began very early indeed. Now, if you'd like to know more about the ancient history of St Elphin's here in Warrington, then why not check out episode 1 of Rambles Through History in my Rambles Through History playlist. Entitled Rambles Around St Elphin's, it tells you the history of this wonderful church. I can't help feeling a little bit sad that these lives were cut short, just 33 and 22 years old respectively. However, John and Margaret did have a good life, and they made a great impression on 15th century Warrington. Now, if you enjoy the local history that surrounds you, then why not do some research yourself? You'll be surprised what you just might find. Join me again soon as we take yet another ramble through history here on TV Presenter for History.